Welcome to sportsbet.io's Clubhouse Premier League preview for another week, another match week in the Premier League. It's match week 12. We've got another international break after this, so put everything into this one, lads. We'll see how we go. Probably end up with Manchester City leading the table at the end of it, but you never know in football, as we've noticed over the last 7 days or so. Strange things can happen. We had one of those Premier League classics, didn't we, on Monday? And to go through what we saw last week and more specifically what we are going to see this weekend, I have got Paul Robinson and Neil Mellor with me. Hello, gentlemen. How are we? Had a good week?
Yeah, very good, Dave. Thank you.
Delighted to be here. I'll take that.
Delighted with the predictions.
There we go. Well, we'll come on to our score predictions. It was quite tight last week, a low-scoring affair, but we'll move on to those later.
To be honest, it was awful. We've done so well throughout the year. Last week was the lowest scoring week, and it was terrible.
It was a bit of a strange old week. I'll start with that strange game and kind of the fallout from Monday night. Don't want to go too far into decisions or the time it takes to make decisions and communication about decisions, because we've gone into that as as everyone else has. But Paul, from your perspective, from a Tottenham perspective, a lot of people saying they come out of that with quite a lot of credit in the same way as Liverpool did with 9 men against Tottenham. But do they? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, you made that sound quite good, that, Dave. Actually, we're not going to talk about it because we're fed up of talking about VAR, and everybody's talked about VAR all week and nobody wants to hear about it anymore. But yeah, Tottenham come out with a lot of credit, I think, because of the way that the manager spoke, the way that they played bravely with a high line. They went to attack. They still could have got back into the game late on. Sonny had a chance. But I think there may be a little bit of naivety in that. You look at that they're playing against a poor Chelsea side. There's an argument, if they'd have sat deep with 9 men, could Chelsea have broken them down? But actually losing 4-1 and coming out with a lot of credit it's an interesting one. But you look at it, you pick the bones out of it. The Romero decision. I mean, I sit here every week and tell you it's a matter of time before he's going to either accumulate yellows or get sent off. And sure enough, he did. Udogie sent off. The injury to Van der Ven. It wasn't a good 20 minutes for Spurs. I mean, 20 minutes they look like Real Madrid, and then 20 minutes after that, it looks like the season may have spontaneously combusted with the way that the game panned out. Yes, it was a good watch. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it, even though they lost. But it was the attitude of the players and the application of the manager and his attitude towards the game. Having had 9 men, he's like, look, we're still going to have a go. Yes, a bit of blind faith, but it was a good watch, like you say.
Neil, from a Chelsea point of view, how will they come out of it? They've got their win. Nicholas Jackson's got his hat trick. They were desperate for goals, but just seemed to be a lack of maybe leaders on the pitch, a bit of communication all around to say, well, first of all, work out what the other side are doing, and this is how we get through them, which should be quite easy because there's a whole pitch to run into.
You're quite unusual, wasn't it? Obviously Tottenham had gone down to 9 men, and Chelsea probably weren't expecting them to play such a high line, but they were, and it was about timing those runs. I think the score maybe flattered Chelsea because at 2-1 in added time, Paul mentioned it there, Son has a chance to equalise. And if Chelsea wouldn't have won that game, there'd have been serious questions asked that they couldn't win the game against 9 men. They have. It's 4-1. They'll take confidence from that. Jackson will definitely take confidence from that. And obviously the next game is City away. But yeah, Spurs have been a good start. But that was a bit too brave, but entertaining. So for Spurs this year, it's going to be entertaining to watch, which is obviously a positive thing. But again, VAR, 9 VAR checks in that game. That is not what football is about.
No, it's not. But I suppose, did they get most things right eventually? And is the problem just communicating what they're talking about? Because I know people in the stadium are like, well, hold on. That ball went in the net from Caicedo, and then we're going back. And actually, we've sent someone off and we're giving them a penalty, and yet no one knew what was going on.
You said we weren't going there today, Dave.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, 9 decisions in the game. But I think the way that Ange Postecoglou spoke after the game, he got a lot of credit for it. And there was a contrast between him and Arteta. But the fact with Ange Postecoglou speaking the way he did, I don't think you could have a lot to complain about VAR, about the decisions. I think VAR got pretty much all the decisions in that game right. But it's the length of time, it's the stop-start, it's the impact that it's having on the game. Listen, it's not going to go. It's here to stay. But use it in the right way. Just let the referee on the pitch referee. Use it for line decisions. Put the cameras in the right place. Was it in the box? Was it out the box? Was it over the line? Was it not? Let the referee on the field make a decision. If the VAR referee thinks there's something the referee needs to look at, send him over to the screen. Don't say anything. Just let him do it. Just let him have a look at it. Let him make his own decision. You're paying somebody on the field to referee. And our standard of refereeing in this country, it was good, but it's going downhill rapidly because A, they don't make a decision, B, they're relying on VAR, and C, VAR's not doing its job.
Yeah, we're in a situation, Neil, aren't we? I know we said we weren't going to talk about it. We're in a situation where referees aren't making decisions because they know there's a safety net, and sometimes, as we've seen this season, that safety net isn't there.
Yeah, I think a big problem is it's spoiling the game in terms of we're all now unsure of what's going to be given, what are the rules, because there's so many inconsistencies with it, and so that is a problem for not just the fans inside the stadium who don't know what's happening, but also the fans watching the game. And until they sort that out and just let the referees ref the game, accept it, all these subjective calls, okay, might have gone the other way, might have gone that way, just get on with it. We're trying to re-ref the game. And if you watched the Rugby World Cup recently, it was very stop-start. And that's the way rugby is. That's the way football is at the moment with VAR, and I don't like it.
Don't see an end to it, though. It's killing the game. It really is. It's every week. It's every game. The only thing we're talking about is VAR. We're looking to see how it's used, how the referee's implementing it, what decisions there are. And every single day you put on the telly. I mean, the England manager had a big day yesterday announcing his England squad. His first question was VAR. And fair play to him. He said, it's boring. I'm fed up with it. I don't like it. And it's boring. It's ruining football matches. And it's right. I mean, that first half of the Tottenham game, it was nearly an hour long. It's ridiculous.
I know we weren't going to talk about VAR, so we're not. So we can talk about Mikel Arteta moaning about VAR later, and the way Arsenal kind of imploded against Newcastle. Maybe when we come around to the Arsenal, but no, let's go on to it now. Why not? I know Paul's itching to get into Mikel Arteta. Paul, we saw Arteta respond to the Liverpool Tottenham thing the other week. Where you've got to get on with it. This is it. This is basically what you've just said. This is the referee's decision. Get on with it. And then he probably, he maybe steals a bit of the Jurgen Klopp handbook and goes a bit, apocalyptic on referees after what happened at Newcastle last week. But again, mostly, would you say the referee got things right in the Arsenal-Newcastle game?
Not necessarily got it right. I would say it was probably implemented in the way that the referees have been told to implement it. The referee, it's a difficult one for the referees because not everybody's agreement is in agreement with certain decisions. Decisions are subjective, but VAR is told to be used in a certain way. And the three incidences that they were talking about in the Arsenal game, whether the ball was over the line, it looked like the one in the World Cup against South Korea. That clearly couldn't be decided whether it was over the line, although in the still shot, to me, it looked like it was over the line. The ball into the box, Joe Linton pushed in the back. For me, the Arsenal defender was on his way down already. He looked like he pushed him in the back. Yes, he's got two hands in the back. The VAR referee then decided that wasn't enough to overrule that. And then, like we say, in this modern world of technology, we can't put cameras in the right place for offside. So they couldn't clearly decipher whether it was offside or not. So the three instances, no matter how long it took, the VAR official had a reason that he couldn't overrule the referee on the field for each one. Whether I agree, whether you agree, we've been talking about it for over a week now. You're not going to find two people that agree on every decision. I think that the biggest call that Arteta was worried about was the foul at the far post. Joe Linton pushing his centre-half in the back. But like I say, there's reasons why it wasn't given. But the fact that everybody's missed, if the goalkeeper stood in the right position, if he's not stood outside his near post for a cross again, if he stood in the middle of his goal where he should be, he takes one step to his left, catches the cross, and none of the above happens, which, again, I think is something Mikel Arteta's done in his post-match press conference. There's a little bit of a smokescreen there because their away performances haven't been great. Other managers have used that in the past as well. And I think the way that he held himself, the way he spoke after the game, he was upset, and you can see there's a lot of passion in there. But I think a little bit of it was diverting away from Arsenal's performance, lack of shots on goal, lack of forward penetration on the pitch, and it was another poor away performance, which the manager wasn't happy with. Yes, I can understand why he did it. He said what he said, but then the club have doubled down on it. The club have backed him up. And from their point of view, I can understand why they've done that. They don't want to take this passion out of the manager. That's what he is. You watch the documentaries you see inside the dressing room. That's the way he handles himself. That's the type of manager he is. They don't want to be seen to be taking that away from their manager by not backing him. But by backing him and doubling down on his statement, if there's going to be, sanctions for him, fines, bans, whatever, the club have to face the same as well. And I think they will. I think that will come because Arteta can't say what he said after the game.
And Neil, with Arsenal on the pitch and what they're doing on the pitch, are we looking at a side which is not exactly hitting gear as we've been wanting them to do so? They've had some games where they've won quite comfortably, but they're being tripped up, and at the same time, we've got Manchester City are now above them now, and looking as if they are hitting the straps.
It's only the first defeat of the season. Obviously Newcastle's a tough place to go to anyway, and I quite like to hear the passion from the managers afterwards, whether I agree with it or not, which I didn't. I thought it was a good goal. I thought Gabriel should have defended better. But again, it's that subjectivity of opinion, and that's why I don't think VAR needs to get involved. But yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible result. They're being beaten. Now it's about how they respond from that before the international break. And I think it's quite a kind fixture this weekend to get back to winning ways. They're only 3 points off City, so they're still very much in the mix. I think if they can try and get close again to City this season, then I think it'd be a good season. I don't think anyone expects them to win the league. City the team to beat, aren't they? But if they can stay in that mix and get Champions League football again, get through the group, which it looks like they will do, then I still think it's a good season for Arsenal.
Well, let's get into those games then. We've talked too much about VAR. Who made me talk about VAR? Don't need to do that. Let's get into the football this weekend in the Premier League and what we can watch alongside us in the Clubhouse with sportsbet.io.